identification. Okay? So, simulan na natin. So, when you say bacterial culture, ano ba ang significance ng performing bacterial culture? So, tandaan nyo class that the objective of our microbiology laboratory is to isolate the pathogen coming from a clinical specimen. So, that's why we have to perform techniques such as culture. When you say culture, so you have a clinical specimen, then you're going to isolate the bacteria from that and identify the bacteria. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng bacteria culture. Okay? So for the bacterial culture naman class, it is important for us to have what we call the pure colony. Yan ang objective natin, is to get the pure colony that is the possible pathogen. Why? Because take note that clinical specimen can always be contaminated with either the normal flora or the transient microorganisms. Example na lang yan is the throat swab. Tulad ng topic natin kanina, di ba? Sabi ko kanina, ang Streptococcus pyogenes, nakukuha yan sa lalamunan, sa throat. So ang specimen is the throat swab. So sa throat natin, meron din mga viridans doon, di ba? Na part of the flora. So if you're going to swab your throat and culture that, you have to separate the pyogenes from the viridans. And you have to identify it based on bacterial culture. Okay? So after the culture, what will happen? Characterization will happen, or what you call bacteria identification. When you say identification or characterization, that's the time that you're going to perform different biochemical testing and sometimes susceptibility testing to identify the name of the bacteria or what is the pathogen. Okay? So when you say cultivation, this is the process of growing the microorganism coming from the infection site, meaning coming from a clinical specimen. And you do it in vitro by using what you call the culture media. So this is what a culture media looks like. And these are the bacteria growing in a culture media. So nagkaroon ng bacteria dyan kasi ito, nilagyan mo ito ng clinical specimen. And you're able to isolate the pathogen such as this one. Okay? So next is the different phases of growth media. So for the growth media, usually we have two phases. We have the broth and the agar. So kapag broth, this is defined as nutrients dissolved in water. Meaning that is the artificial culture medium where you're going to immerse or submerge the specimen in order for the bacteria to grow. Okay? And absorb all of the nutrients for them to replicate and grow. Now, another phase is the solid phase known as the agar. So kapag agar naman, this is also the nutrient dissolved in water. However, you added a solidifying agent. And the name of the solidifying agent is the agarose gel. Okay? So how can you say na there is a bacterial growth? So let's start muna sa broth media. So for the broth media usually, they start as clear liquid. Clear liquid yan with nutrients. However, kapag mayroong growth ng bacteria, magkakaroon sila ng cloudiness or turbidity as you can see here on the picture. Okay? Now, some broth may also contain a pH indicator that can allow for the change in color. Example, meron siyang phenol red. Kapag may phenol red, initially, it should be reddish in color. But after growth of the bacteria, as a sign of growth, it can change from red to yellow. So that's a sign na nagkaroon ng growth. Either nagkaroon ka ng turbidity sa broth or nagkaroon ng change in color. Okay? Now, example of that is the thioglycolate broth. The thioglycolate broth is a very good broth media because it is able to differentiate between the oxygen requirement of the microorganism. As you can see here on the picture, the letter A tube is the facultative anaerobic, meaning it can grow with oxygen or without oxygen. That's why, as you can see, the turbidity is uniform. So, turbid siya all throughout. Okay? And then, next is the flocculation. Kapag flocculation, it looks like this one. It means that the microorganism can also grow in this broth medium. Another one is the strictly aerobic. Kapag strictly aerobic, makikita mo sa taas lang yung kanyang growth. Sa ilalim niya is clear. Okay? Another one is the strictly anaerobic. As you can see, the growth is only at the bottom. Yung taas niya, clear. Kasi nga sa taas niya, merong oxygen doon. So since anaerobic siya, dito lang talaga siya tutubo sa ilalim. Okay? That's an example. Now next is, so this is another example of a broth medium coming from the clear Muna clear siya and then naging turbid. And as you can see, nagkaroon siya ng change in color. This is also the agar medium. Kapag agar, solid phase. Like this one, this is the 5% sheep's blood agar. You can see there are bacteria growing on it. Okay? Next is the agar media. Sabi ko nga kayo ng agar media, it is also nutrients dissolved in water. However, nag-add ka ng solidifying agent known as the agarose gel. Now, the agarose gel, they can melt at high temperature. So if you autoclave them at 95 degrees Celsius, they are in liquid form. Okay. However, if the temperature goes down between 55 to 60 degrees Celsius and then lower, it will become solid. Okay. So in order for you, class, wait lang. Wait lang, class.
Recording stopped.
Ano daw? Ano daw nangyari? Saan nagpunta?
Iniwan lang daw yung yung styro sa taas, Ma'am Bless.
Yung styro? Ah, okay.
Okay lang, noted ko na. Okay, thank you, Ma'am.
So wala po sila dyan, no? Sige.
Wala, malis dito.
Okay. Okay, continue. Sige. Okay, let's continue.
Recording in progress.
Ayun, okay. So again, ang agar media, nutrients din yan dissolved in water. However, meron siyang solidifying agent known as the agarose gel. And this is the agarose. This is what it looks like kapag nag-solidify siya. So for the agar, for the solid media or the agar media, meron ka tatlong klase. It can be in an agar plate like this one, nasa agar plate siya or the Petri dish. This is the agar deep tube. Kapag agar deep tube, you can see yung surface niya is flat like this one. And meron kang agar slant. Kapag agar slant, yung surface niya is slanted like this one. Okay? Ito yung tatlong klase natin ng agar media. Agar slant, agar deep, and agar plate. And then this one, yung broth, again, ito yung liquid phase niya. Okay? So again, ang agarose, meron siyang property. Melting point niya is 95 degrees above. That's why, if you sterilize this using the autoclave, ang autoclave kasi class, ang temperature is about 121 degrees Celsius, diba? Since 121 is higher than 95, you can expect na habang nasa autoclave siya, liquid form siya. Kasi nga melted siya. Pero class, kapag inalis mo siya sa autoclave and the temperature falls down below 50, doon na siya nag-start mag-cool down. Okay? Kapag nag-cool down na siya at ang temperature is about 55 to 60, that's the time that you're going to distribute this or what they call dispense on Petri dishes. Ibig sabihin ng dispense is ibubuhos mo yung liquid form dito sa Petri dish. Kaya nagkaroon ka ng agar plate. So kanina, meron kang empty na Petri dish, binuhusan mo class nung liquefied na agar media. Kaya ganito naging itsura niya. Binuhos mo siya dito. And then kapag nag-cool down na yan, nag-lower down 50 na ang temperature niya, naging 30, naging room temp na hanggang lumamig na, it will now solidify into this one. Nagiging solid stable dyan na siya, known as the agar plate. Okay? Now, bakit ka gumagawa ng agar plate? Kasi class, your goal is to get a pure colony. Because on this agar plate, this is the culture medium where you're going to perform streaking technique to isolate the bacteria. This is where you're going to perform culture. So when you say pure colony, it means that you have a single colony with the same genus and species. It means they are a clone from each other. So ibig sabihin ng class, for example, meron ka isang colony. Ang colony niyan is Staph aureus. Lahat ng bacteria dyan, puro Staph aureus. They are a clone of each other. Kaya tinawag na colony coming from the word clone. Okay? This is what it looks like. Example, ito. Diba? Ito class, this is a colony. Colony, colony, colony. Baka siya tinawag ng pure colony kasi nga wala siyang katabi. As you can see, isolated siya. Okay? So this one, kung ano man yung bacteria niyan, pare-pareho lang sila dyan. For example, E. coli ito. E. coli yan lahat. Ay, ito E. coli, E. coli, E. coli, E. coli, E. coli. Kung ito ay Staphylococcus, Staphylococcus yan lahat. Okay? However, sometimes nagkakaroon ka ng mixed flora like this one. Meron kang Staphylococcus, tapos meron ka pang maliliit dito. Itong maliliit na yan, possible na Haemophilus yan. Is this a pure colony? Hindi siya pure. Kasi nga, as you can see, meron ka malaki, meron ka maliit. Iba't iba yung size and shape ng colony mo. So this is not a pure culture. Magkakaibang bacteria po yan. Unlike ito Ito class, pure colony ba yan? Yes, pure colony siya. Bakit siya naging pure? Kasi as you can see, pare-pareho ang morphology ng colony. Pareho ang kulay, pareho ang size, pareho ang shape. So, iisang bacteria lang yan. Lahat yan ay E. coli. Ito, mix. Bakit naging mix? Kasi meron kang maliit, meron kang malaki, irregular ang shape niya. So, this is a mixture of Haemophilus and Staphylococcus. Okay? So, pure colony ba yan? Hindi yan pure colony. So, among the three, alin ang pure colony? Ito. Only this one. Ito, pure colony ba? Hindi rin. Kasi merong maliit, meron ding malaki. Ito, may malaki, may maliit, may malaki, may maliit. So, mixed colony din yan. So, hindi rin siya pure. Okay? Ito lang yung pure dyan. So, kapag nakakawa ka na ng pure colony, ano nang next mong gagawin? From the pure colony, this is where you're going to get a specimen to perform different testing. Example, yung kanina, yung sa Streptococcus, di ba? Ang daming test na ginawa. Nag-catalase test ka, nag-bacitracin testing ka, nag-octokin testing ka, bile solubility, hydrolysis, PYR. Lahat ng test na yun, kailangan ng colony. And you need a pure colony like this one to do those testing. Pwede ba mag-test na hindi pure yung colony? Hindi po. Kasi kapag mix yan, tulad nito, mix, iba-iba rin yung reaction mo. Hindi ka magkakaroon ng accurate na result kasi nga mix yung reaction mo. Okay, so dapat pag nag-testing ka, pure like this one. Para pareho-pareho yung reaction so that you're able to come up with an accurate result. Okay? Yan ang purpose why you perform culture in the first place. Okay? So, you have to select the appropriate culture media. Tandaan yung class, pagdating sa bacteriology, meron tayong protocol. Always culture in what they call the primary plating medium. Ano yung primary plating medium na yan, class? Tatlo yan. Meron kang sheep's blood agar, chocolate agar, and McConkey agar. Kahit anong specimen mo, hindi dapat mawala yung tatlong culture medium. Again, you have to culture in sheep's blood agar, chocolate agar, and also the McConkey agar. Whatever happens, those three culture medium must always be used. Okay? Now, meron kang different classification yan. Una muna is the nutritive media. Now, nutritive media, example of that is the blood agar. Bakit blood agar? Kasi nga it contains 5% sheep's blood that is needed to support the growth of a wide range of microorganisms. So it is considered as non-selective, meaning it can support the growth of both gram-negative, gram-positive, and even some fungi or yeast. Pwedeng tumubo sa blood agar. Kasi nga, marami siyang protein coming from the sheep's blood. Okay? Now, besides being a nutritive agar, it is also a differential medium. Ba siya naging differential? Kasi nga, it can differentiate between alpha hemolysis, beta hemolysis, and gamma hemolytic or the alpha prime. As you can see, class, here on the picture, meron siyang mga different color reaction. Meron siyang greenish for alpha, meron siyang yellow color for beta hemolysis, and merong walang reaction for gamma hemolysis. Okay? So these are example. So kanina diniscuss ko na kung bakit siya nagiging alpha, beta, and the gamma. Okay? So those are examples. Next is the selective media. Now for the selective media naman, it has selectivity, but siya mayroong selectivity. It means that it can inhibit the growth of a certain group of microorganism and only allow the growth of a certain group of microorganism. Example of that is the McConkey agar. Now, a McConkey agar class, it is selective medium for gram-negative bacteria, particularly those bacteria under the Enterobacteriaceae family. Ibig sabihin, class, kapag nag-culture ka sa McConkey, hindi tutubo dito yung mga gram-positive. So, hindi tutubo, bawal tumubo dyan yung mga Staph aureus, Streptococcus, hindi mo yan makikita dyan kasi nga yun ay gram-positive. Anong tumutubo dito? Yung mga Enterobacteriaceae na gram-negative tulad ng Escherichia coli, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Enterobacter, Proteus, Morganella, lahat ng mga gram-negative na part ng Enterobacteriaceae, tutubo sila sa McConkey agar because it is selective for that type of culture. It is selective for that type of microorganism. Bakit siya naging selective? Kasi nga, it contains inhibitors such as crystal violet dye to inhibit the growth of gram-positive bacteria. Yan ang example ng McConkey agar that is selective. Paano naman kapag gram-positive? Meron ba tayong selective medium doon? Yes, di ba yung mannitol salt agar? Ano sabi ko last time sa Staphylococcus? MSA is a selective medium for Staphylococcus kasi nga mataas ang salt concentration. So yung 7.5% na salt ng MSA that can inhibit the growth of gram-negative naman. Hindi tumutubo doon sa E. coli kasi kapag nilagyan mo ng asin sa E. coli, patay sila. Pero ang tutubo doon yung mga Staphylococcus. So yan ang example. Another example is the CNA that is selective for gram-positive only. It has antibiotic tulad ng colistin and nalidixic that can inhibit the gram-negative bacteria. Okay? So those are the selective medium. Now, selective medium can also be differential. Kapag differential, ibig sabihin noon, it can differentiate certain characteristics of a bacteria. Example of that is your MacConkey agar. For the MacConkey agar, it can differentiate between lactose fermenting Enterobacteriaceae and non-lactose fermenting Enterobacteriaceae. Example of that, kapag lactose fermenting, ibig sabihin noon, is able to ferment the sugar lactose found on the culture medium. That's why meron siyang change in color. So kapag lactose fermenting, ang kulay niya is color pink. Like this one. Basta may nakita ka na pink colony sa MacConkey agar, lactose fermenting yan. Tatlo lang yung possible na organism. Pwedeng Klebsiella, Escherichia, or Enterobacter. Okay? Those are the lactose fermenting colonies. Dito naman sa mga non-lactose, ito yung mga other Enterobacteriaceae. Kapag non-lactose, as you can see, the color is beige or yellowish, like this one. These are the non-lactose fermenting microorganism. Okay? Ano pa example ng differential medium natin selective din? Example is the MSA agar, di ba? Di ba class last time, sabi ko sa Staphylococcus. Ang MSA, selective siya for Staphylococcus and also differential. Kasi nga, pwede niya class differentiate ang Staph aureus from cons or the coagulase negative staph. Again, sa MSA, ang kulay ng Staph aureus is yellow, di ba? And then kapag naman cons, ang kulay is reddish, right? So that's why MSA is also both selective and differential. Okay. So that's why class, kapag nag-culture tayo, laging kasama dapat si MacConkey. Kasi sa MacConkey, this is selective for gram-negative. And then if you're suspecting Staphylococcus, you have to add MSA. So kasama rin sa MSA kasi selective yan for gram-positive. Okay, yun yung mga laging kasama kapag nag-culture tayo. Now next is the enriched medium. Ayan. Enriched medium is also important. Bakit kailangan ng enriched medium? When you say enriched medium, this is a culture media with growth enhancer. So para din siyang blood agar, pero meron pa siyang additional na growth enhancers. Example of that is the chocolate agar. For the chocolate agar class, this is what it looks like, the chocolate agar. So meron siyang mga growth enhancers tulad ng himin and NAD. So the chocolate agar, it is also the blood agar. Blood agar din yan class. However, pinakuluan mo siya. Nung pinakuluan mo, nag-lyse yung red cells, kaya naging color brown siya. Upon the lysis of the red cells, lumabas ang kanyang himin. That's why this has supplement known as himin. Yung himin class, nagagaling siya doon sa red cell din mismo na pinakuluan mo. Okay? And then, since meron na siyang himin, ano pang kailangan niya? Kailangan niya pa rin ng NAD. So upon cooling down the chocolate agar, you may add the Isovitalex supplement that can supply the NAD. So dalawang vitamins yung meron siya. Meron siyang himin, meron din siyang NAD. Kaya siya ay tinawag na enriched medium. Okay? So that is for the agar phase. So sa liquid phase naman, meron din tayo mga limb broth or the toluene broth with CNA, which is also an enrichment medium to enhance the growth of group B streptococci or your Streptococcus agalactiae. Now, for the supplemental broth naman, ang tawag din dito is mga backup broth. So, what is the purpose? Bakit gumagamit ka ng mga broth sa culture? The purpose of the broth is to propagate the bacteria coming from a specimen with very low concentration of the bacteria. For example, ang specimen mo is swab na tuyong-tuyo na. Kapag tuyo na yung swab, malamang patay na yung mga bacteria dyan. Pero merong chance na meron pang natira na konting buhay. So kung gusto mong paramihin yung konting buhay na yan, pwede mong ilagay yung swab sa broth. And then incubate that overnight, then kinabukasan, turbid na, dumami na ulit yung pathogen. So yan ang purpose ko ba't gumagamit ka ng broth. If you want to recover the pathogen coming from a specimen na very low ang concentration ng bacteria. Okay? Pwede ka mag-enrich muna sa broth. So example of that is the thioglycolate, the brain heart infusion broth, and the tryptic soy broth or the tryptic soy broth. Usually class in the hospital, what we do is we culture both in the thioglycolate and also on the tryptic soy broth. Bakit kailangan i-culture din siya sa thioglycolate? That is if you got anaerobic bacteria. If you're suspecting for anaerobes, marirecover mo yan kapag naggamit ka ng thioglycolate. If you're suspecting only for aerobic lang, puro aerobic lang yung suspected mo, you're going to add TSB or tryptic soy broth. Okay? So again, those are the broth na ginagamit natin. Again, ang purpose niya is to detect anaerobe and aerobic cultures, also detect bacteria that are very low in concentration in the specimen. Okay? So meron kang small number of organism present. It may be detected pa rin and allow detection of anaerobes in aerobic culture and organisms that may be damaged by either previous or concurrent antimicrobial therapy. So kahit konti na lang daw yung bacteria, you can still detect it by using the broth. Next is the process. So paano yung process ng culture? Again, sabi ko nga kanina, kailangan mo ng primary plating media. Kapag primary plating media, you need the non-selective agar. The non-selective agar na ginagamit natin is the 5% sheep's blood agar. You also need an enriched medium. Ang ginagamit natin is the chocolate agar. You also need selective medium. Okay? Ang pinaka-routine natin selective medium is the McConkey agar. You also need selective medium for the gram-positive, which is the MSA. Itong pinaka-routine na ginagamit natin. And sometimes, you may need additional enrichment media or broth na kailangan tulad ng TSB, or thioglycolate. And sometimes, you may need EMB agar if you're suspecting for E. coli. Okay? So, those are the examples. Kapag broth naman, pwede ka mag-add ng lim broth. Okay. So, it depends kung ano yung suspected mo. Okay? So, those are the examples ng mga culture medium that you may add. And on the following slides, ito yung examples ng mga different culture medium na ginagamit natin in the laboratory. So, marami yan, class. Bababanggit ko rin yan as we go along throughout the whole semester. But as you can see, class, ang purpose nito, kaya ako siya pinapakita, is for you to know na yung mga bacteria, meron siya mga specific na culture medium. Tulad yan, if you want to isolate Bordetella, you may use the Bordet Gengo. If you want to isolate Legionella, you may use the BCYE. Diba? Ano pa? This one. For the Yersinia, you may use the CIN agar. For the Haemophilus, you may use chocolate agar. Yan. Diba? O, ano pa? Ito, for the lactose fermenting and lactose fermenting, you may use the EMB agar. Okay? For Corynebacterium, you may use the Loeffler's medium. So, ang point dito is for you to know na kada isang bacteria, meron siya mga recommended na culture medium for you to isolate the bacteria. Okay? Yan. So, how to prepare the culture medium? It starts with sterilization. So, kapag nag-sterilize ka, ibig sabihin nun, you're going to autoclave the culture medium to reach the temperature of 121 degrees Celsius, 15 psi for 15 minutes. Okay? Again, once yan ay nasa autoclave, it is at liquid form. Liquid form yan. Now, after the autoclave cycle, tatanggalin mo siya sa autoclave. Ang tawag na doon is molten agar. Ang tawag sa agar na tinanggal mo sa autoclave at yan ay liquid pa lang, ang tawag is molten agar. Okay? So what you do is you're going to dispense that. Once yung temperature niya nag-cool down na sa 50 degrees Celsius, you're going to dispense that on a Petri dish. Ang concentration, ang volume should be 20 to 25 ml of molten agar per plate. Again, na ang tawag sa agar, nakakalabas mo pa lang sa autoclave is the molten agar. Kapag binuhos mo yan sa Petri dish, dapat it will reach a volume of 20 to 25 ml. Okay? And you're only going to do that if the temperature goes down to 50 degrees Celsius. Now, at this temperature class, this is also the ideal temperature for you to add supplements. Let's say you are preparing the chocolate agar na kailangan mo lagyan ng Isovitalex or the NAD. This is now the good temperature because if you're going to add yung mga supplements habang boiling pa siya, habang sobrang init niya, what will happen? Masisira yung mga supplements, masisira yung mga vitamins. So, ang pinaka-best time to add the supplements, yung mga vitamins, yung mga blood, yung mga nutrients or antibiotic, the best temperature should be if it goes to 50 degrees Celsius. Okay? Yan po siya, 50 degrees. Kasi nga malamig na siya, stable na, hindi masisira yung nilagay mo mga vitamins, blood, antibiotic, or nutrients. Okay? Now, kapag nag-cool down na talaga, below 50 na, that's the time you can now dispense that sa mga Petri dishes. Ang tawag ay molten agar. Okay? Now, how about if the culture medium should not be sterilized? Let's say the culture medium is heat sensitive. Paano ka mag-sterilize yan kapag heat sensitive siya? Again, what you do is we perform the filtration, wherein we use filter paper with a pore size of 0.45 micrometer to filter out bacteria. Okay? But tandaan nyo, sa pore size of 0.45, you cannot filter out viruses. The viruses will still be there. However, bacteria and fungal elements that are contaminants will not be found on the culture medium kasi nga, tinanggal mo na through filtration. After the preparation ng culture media, you have to perform quality control. And how do you do that? So, sabi ko nga last time sa quality control ng culture media, you may check the pH, you may check the volume, you may also check the sterility. Okay, sterility by incubating the prepared culture medium on an incubator. Kinabukasan, kapag walang tumubo, it means sterile siya. So, tamang pagkakagawa mo, tama ang process mo. Pero, if kinabukasan merong tumubong bakterya, it means hindi siya sterile. Hindi siya sterile, class, kapag ganon. So, it means that your procedure was not done properly. You cannot use the culture medium. Tandaan nyo, basta hindi siya pasado sa quality control mo, you cannot use the culture medium. Okay? After preparation of the culture media, you're going to sterilize. You're going to culture na. When you say culture, this is a process where you perform streaking on a agar plate. Okay? So, una muna is inoculation. Kapag inoculation, ibig sabihin noon, you have the clinical specimen and you're going to inoculate it on the culture medium. This one is called the inoculum. For example, yung swab nyo. Kunyari, nag-swab ka sa lalamunan mo. Yung swab sa lalamunan mo, ipapahid mo siya sa blood agar. Yung pinahiran mo, ang tawag dyan is inoculum. O kunwari, maihi ka, di ba? Yung ihi mo naman, ipahid mo dyan, ang tawag sa ihi mo is inoculum na. Yung plema mo, ipahid mo yung plema mo dito, ang tawag sa plema ay inoculum. Basta yung specimen, nasa agar na, ang tawag dyan is inoculum. Okay? Take note of the terminology, ha? Dapat maging aware kayo sa mga terminology. Again, any specimen na pinahid mo na sa agar, ang tawag dyan ay inoculum na. O for example, yung plema mo, sputum, pinahid mo sa agar, inoculum na ang tawag dyan. Itong swab mo, na galing sa lalamunan mo, pinahid mo sa agar, inoculum na ito. Yung ihi mo, pinatak mo sa agar, inoculum na yan. So anong next mong gagawin? You're going to get the sterilized loop and then streak the inoculum at a zigzag pattern like this one. Streak the inoculum at a zigzag pattern like this. Okay? And then, you're going to repeat the process again in the next quadrant. Kasi 4 na quadrant yung class. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay? And then kapag nakapag-streak ka na sa 4 na quadrant, this is what it will look like. Kinabukasan na after overnight incubation. So meron kang bacterial growth sa quadrant 1 where you place your inoculum. Growth sa quadrant 2 where you streak and spread the inoculum. And then growth in quadrant 3 and 4 where the inoculum was further spread. Okay? So this one, i-discuss ko siya sa laboratory by midterm. I'm going to demonstrate that. This will be our first activity sa midterm. We're going to perform culture. Okay? So kapag may growth na, anong next na gagawin? You have to interpret the result. You have to grade it either as light growth, moderate growth, or heavy growth. Kapag ang growth mo umabot na sa 3rd and 4th quadrant, it is classified as heavy growth. Okay? Kapag umabot siya sa 2nd quadrant, it is moderate growth. Kapag nasa 1st quadrant lang, it is light growth. Anong significance ng mga light, moderate, heavy na yan? That is the basis of the doctor on what to do with the patient. If you report only light growth, the doctor will only give antibiotic to be taken orally. So, pwedeng outpatient yung pasyente, papauwiin lang, ma-antibiotic lang, babalik na lang after 7 days. Kapag na-report ka ng moderate growth, possible na ma-admit yung pasyente mo. Depende yan sa sintomas ng pasyente. Okay? Possible na for admission. Okay? And then kapag na-report ka ng heavy growth, for admission yung pasyente mo, and the antibiotic will be administered intravenously. Lalagyan na siya ng swero, yung antibiotic, ibibigay na through intravenous. Yan ang significance ng mga reporting na yan. So make sure that you report properly. Kung light growth yan, edi light growth lang. Like this one. Oh. Meron ka lang growth sa 1st quadrant, light growth yan. This one naman, moderate kasi mabot na sa 2nd quadrant. Kapag nasa 3rd and 4th na like this one, heavy growth na yan. So for admission na yung pasyente mo. Possible na yung antibiotic niya, idaan na sa swero. Okay? So this is the interpretation ng mga growth. Next is the urine culture. So pagdating naman sa urine culture class, the volume of the urine is being standardized. You use a calibrated inoculating loop that will deliver 0.01 ml of urine. Okay? So bakit kailangan standardize yung volume ng urine? Kasi class, you're going to perform colony count. So ito class, this is where you're going to restrict the urine. This is your inoculum. So yung ihe, ipahid mo siya dito, strict the urine over here at the center. Ang tawag mo na dyan is inoculum na, di ba? Inoculum na yan. And then yung inoculum mo, mag-strict ka dyan ng zigzag across like this one, using the sterile inoculating loop. And then after overnight incubation, ito ang kanyang itsura. This is what it looks like after incubating it overnight, 18 to 24 hours. So magbibilang ka na ng mga colony mo. Bilangin mo siya. Okay? Kapag ang colony mo is more than 100 ang colonies, you're going to report that as more than 100,000 CFU per ml. Kapag naman less than 100 ang colony, bilangin mo siya. Let's say nabilang mo 80, report it as 80,000 CFU per ml. Pag nabilang mo 60, report as 60,000 CFU per ml. Okay? Now that is for the urine culture. Next is the macroscopic. So after mo mag-culture, mag-perform ka naman ng macroscopic examination where you're going to observe the colonies. Ano yung mga tinitingnan sa colony? You have to check for the colony size, the shape, di ba? Like this one, ano yung mga different shape niya? Meron kang punctiform or the pinpoint, circular or round, filamentous, irregular, rhizoid, or curl. You may also check for the elevation. It can be flat, raised, convex, umbonate, umbilicate, or it can grow into the media. You may also check for the margin. It can be entire. If the colony is round, the margin can be entire or smooth. If the colony is irregular, the margin is also irregular. If the colony is rhizoid or filamentous, the margin is also filamentous like this one. Okay? Besides that, you may also observe for the odor and even the hemolytic pattern on the blood agar. However, class, take note that you should not smell the agar medium because smelling it is a risk factor para makakuha ka ng infection. However, if it is the Pseudomonas, the smell is very strong. You can actually smell it even if it is inside the biosafety cabinet. Okay? So, however, class, the characteristics of the colony is not definitive. Ibig sabihin noon, this is just to describe the colony appearance, but you cannot rely on the colony just to identify what is the bacteria. Hindi ibig sabihin na naging dilaw na siya sa MSA, Staph aureus na siya. You may still perform the different tests to really confirm or validate the identity of the bacteria. That's why colony identification is only preliminary. Preliminary lang yan kapag colony morphology ang tinitingnan mo. Ang final identification natin will always be based sa mga phenotypic and genotypic characterization. So, paano yung mga phenotypic and genotypic characterization yan? So, meron kang dalawang klase on how to identify it. You can identify it based on either the genotype or the phenotype. So, when you say genotype, this is more specific kasi nga, you are identifying based on the specific DNA sequence, di ba? Example of that class is your detection of the MECA gene, di ba? Yung na-discuss natin last time sa Staphylococcus, di ba? Sabi ko last time sa Staphylococcus, kapag na-detect mo yung MECA gene through PCR, that is the gold standard to confirm for MRSA, right? Yan ang sabi ko last time sa Staphylococcus. There's an example of genotypic characterization wherein you perform PCR to detect the gene to identify the bacteria. Okay? Ngayon, this is considered to be confirmatory. Bakit siya confirmatory? Kasi nga, DNA na or RNA ng bacteria ang tinignan mo doon. So, wala nang duda kapag genotypic characterization na. Okay? Ngayon, yung mga conventional method is known as phenotypic characterization. Kapag phenotypic characterization class, you characterize it based on observable characteristic. Ano example niyan? Example is the gram stain. The gram stain, the morphology, the colony appearance, including the odor and pigmentation, environmental requirements for growth. Let's say, kailangan niya ba ng salt? Does it grow sa 6.5% salt? Does it grow in 7.5% salt? Okay? Does it grow with supplements? Or is it resistant or susceptible? Tulad na lang ng mga optokin testing, bacitracin test na ginagawa natin sa Streptococcus. Okay? Also, paano ba ang kanyang metabolic capability? Does it produce enzyme tulad ng catalase positive, oxidase positive, PYR positive? And what are the different biochemical reaction? Is it heparin hydrolysis positive? Is it coagulase positive? Lahat yan ay part ng phenotypic characterization. So yung mga inaral natin na testing sa Staphylococcus and Streptococcus, lahat yan example ng phenotypic characterization. Kasi yung mga results nila, you can observe that. Observable ang result. Pero kapag DNA mismo ang tines mo, ang tawag dyan ay genotypic characterization. Okay? So once you're able to compile all of the results from the genotypic or phenotypic, that's the time that you can now identify the bacteria. Okay? So usually class, kapag conventional ID, the result will take about overnight. Kinabukasan ng resulta niyan. Kasi nga, these are known as growth-based tests wherein you need a colony and the colony will grow to react on those different tests. Okay? Tulad na lang, ano example ng mga growth-based na test na yan? Example are tests to identify the Enterobacteria shea wherein you test using different biochemical testing na pinapatubo mo muna yung bacteria. Okay? Ano pa example ng growth-based test? Yung bacitracin test, di ba? Bacitracin and optokin test, yung kanina diniscuss ko sa Streptococcus. Kasi class, kailangan mo pang patubuin yung bacteria bago ka makapag-perform ng antibiotic testing. So any test na kailangan patubuin mo na yung bacteria, that is known as conventional or growth-based test. Okay? Kapag naman rapid, ibig sabihin ng rapid class, meron ka ng existing na colony. Kung hindi man existing na colony yan, yung mismong specimen ang pwede mong gamitin. For example, ipapatak mo yung ihi sa isang test kit. Ipapatak mo yung stool sa isang test kit. Diba? Rapid yun. Bakit siya tinawag na rapid? Kasi hindi mo na kailangan pa magpatubo ng bakterya. Example, you want to detect yung mga bacteria sa stool that can cause diarrhea. Then get the stool, tapos ipatak mo lang yung stool sa mga test kit. After 10 minutes or at least mga 1 to 4 hours, meron ka ng resulta. So hindi ka na nagpatubo ng bacteria. However, class, sometimes meron pa rin mga rapid test that requires overnight incubation of the bacteria. Okay? Example dyan, yung mga bacteria that can be found sa mga body fluids. Sometimes, you may need to culture it first before you perform some rapid testing. Okay? Example class yung mga yung mga oxidase test, di ba? Oxidase test, kailangan meron kang colony dyan. PYR test, kailangan may colony ka rin. Okay? So these are examples of mga rapid testing. Ito nga, sabi ko kanina, oxidase test, kailangan may colony ka, di ba? Yung result ng oxidase, makikita mo yun immediately, right? Mga 2 minutes lang yan, meron ka ng resulta. Catalase, immediate ang resulta niyan. Right? Kailangan mo rin ng colony. PYR testing, a few minutes lang yan. Basta makita mo yung bright red color, meron ka na. For the rapid urease, only 2 hours, meron ka ng resulta dyan. Heparin hydrolysis testing, about 4 hours, meron ka ng result. But itong mga test na to, kailangan mo na existing colony dyan. Okay? So these are performed on isolated colonies. Okay? So kapag rapid, ang specimen mo, pwede yung clinical specimen mismo tulad ng urine, ng stool, ng saliva, pwede rin yung mga body fluid mo or yung mga serum, di ba? Pwede yun. Ano example ng rapid test na clinical specimen? Yung ASO testing, yung sinabi ko kanina, di ba, sa Streptococcus. Ang specimen mo sa ASO is serum. That's a clinical specimen. And then, tinest mo siya sa latex testing na ang resulta is only within let's say mga few hours lang, mga 2 hours lang yun. Immediate ang reaction actually. Right? So kapag ganon, that's an example of rapid method na ang gamit ay clinical specimen. Kapag naman ang gamit ay bacteria colony, ito yung mga rapid test natin where you can see the result immediately. Okay? And then meron ka ring mga automated system. For the automated system, these are machines that can identify the bacteria. And most of the time, their principle is through carbohydrate utilization or detection of a chromogenic substrate. Wherein, meron kang mga different panel of tests incorporated on that machine that contains different carbohydrates. And then you're going to challenge the bacteria if it can utilize that carbohydrate. And then yung mga pattern ng utilization nila, you're going to interpret that. Actually, it is the machine that will interpret that. Example of that is the BD Phoenix, the Vitek 2, the Sherlock, the Microscan. Okay? That is the automated system. Kapag naman manual, ang principle din nila is carbohydrate utilization din. So meron ka mga different tests that involves carbohydrate testing, that you're going to test the bacteria there and check for the carbohydrate utilization pattern. Okay? And then you're going to visually inspect the result and compare that to the standard. Example of that is the API testing. Okay? Pero class, sa ngayon, automated na talaga tayo. Ang common sa Philippines is the Vitek 2 together with the BD Phoenix. So that is just a short lecture for today. Yun lang naman, class. Do you have any questions, class? May tanong po ba? Short lecture lang tayo ngayon.